Hey, it's your girl Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic, for episode 60. Oh my God, here at Black Hollywood Live. I got some special news about Olivia Wilde, Booksmart, The Souvenir, and so much more. Stay right there.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Hey, in the house. Well, hello, everybody. This is your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic, here at Black Hollywood Live for episode 60. I cannot believe this is 60 episodes. I know I said that when it was 50, but I really can't believe it's 60 because 60 means I'm getting closer to 100. Well, not in age, but with the show. You know what I'm saying. Insti-hoo. I'm so excited to be here with you all. I know a bunch of people right now on the East Coast, I think, are in the middle or toward the end of watching Game of Thrones. So y'all work that out. That's not my show, but y'all work that out. Came into the studio today rushing in like a crazy person because I was at a junket for the new Disney film Aladdin, which stars Will Smith as the genie, and he getting jiggy with it, I gotta say. It was quite enjoyable, but we will talk more about that next week. This week, we are talking about Booksmart, The Souvenir, The Sun is Also a Star, and Trial by Fire. So let's get right on into it. Oh, but before we do that, let me just acknowledge those of you who always tune in and watch or listen via YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify. Thank you so much for your support here of myself and Black Hollywood Live. Keep tuning in, keep watching. Keep giving me those comments and show your love by giving me those 5 stars on iTunes and leaving me some comments in the YouTube section. If you don't watch the show in real time and you watch it afterwards or you listen to it afterwards, trust and believe I will see what you say and I will say something back. So reach out to your girl and let me know. All right, so right into Booksmart. I had an opportunity to talk to Olivia Wilde, Beanie Feldstein, Caitlin Dever, Austin Crute, Molly Gordon, Billy Lord, and Noah Galvin, a whole bunch of people when I did the red carpet for Booksmart a couple of days ago. But I have a special treat for you today. I had a one-on-one with Miss Olivia Wilde, and she shared some things that are kind of hysterical. If you're watching this via YouTube, you'll notice at the beginning I had pulled the volume down, but when you watch it, you'll see that we're actually complimenting each other on our outfits, but I just pulled the volume down on that because there was some other stuff being said in the background that I didn't want y'all to hear. So with no further ado, here is Olivia Wilde talking about Booksmart. We have something in common.
Tell me.
Dan Fogelman.
My
I
love.
worked with him on The Neighbors, and you worked with him on Life Itself.
Yes, I did. I love him. He was a real inspiration for me as a director.
Really?
Yeah, because he runs his sets in such a empathetic, calm way. He takes care of everyone. He values everyone. He's such a good listener. I mean, I felt so safe on his set, so I tried to emulate that on Booksmart.
Well, you did, girl. You did your thing on Booksmart. Your directing was fantabulous, magnanimous, all of that.
Thank you.
I absolutely loved it. So, having said that, when you were in high school, were you book smart or street smart?
I would like to say I was a combination. Okay. And I think that I struggled with that for a long time. I was like, do I have to choose? You know, it just feels like you have to choose when you're young. Like, what are you? Pick a lane. And yet I knew, I was like, I don't fit in anywhere. I think I'm all of these things. And that carried me kind of through this industry, which also feels like high school, where I was like, I don't know, I'm an actor, but I really like directing. I also like producing. I started in casting. I've always wanted to kind of traverse different roles. So in high school, I'd say major combination.
Okay, so in high school, what was the most reckless thing that you can remember you did?
I went to boarding school. And my best friend and I left the countryside of boarding school life to take the train to New York City, where we went in and I got a really terrible tattoo. I was 13. This is why 13-year-olds should not choose their own tattoos or get them at all.
Share what it was.
It's really bad. It's still on my body. Oh no. It's a dragon that's spitting fire, but the fire is also a shark. And it represents earth, wind, and fire. And it's so bad. It goes, I started...
Wind and fire.
It represents, like, I mean, it's that time in my life. It was an adventurous time. Being young is wonderful, but it was a bad idea. But it made me start the Bad Tattoo Club. So if you have any bad tattoos that you want to share.
Yeah, I'm needlephobic. I can't roll.
You can't be in my club.
I can't be that chick.
At one morning, it was a Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m., I got a call from Allison Jones, and she said, Olivia, you have to get to the office now. There's the most brilliant actor in here, and you need to see him. And I was like, Allison, why are you working on Sunday morning? She was like, because he could only be here now. He goes to NYU. He could come for the weekend. So I drove over there so quickly, and I walked in, and Austin Crute was there in all his glory, and his audition blew my mind. And I told him in the room, I was like, you have the role. You have it. You're astonishing. And I got to do that with a few of these actors who just like blew me away with how special they were and unique, and they were making the characters their own. Then Jessica was like my dream girl cast. I mean, I was just, I think Jessica Williams is one of the most beautiful, thoughtful, interesting, soulful women and artists, and I loved her unique voice that she would bring to this character, and she made it her own. She changed it from what it was in a way that was, she just made it so much more interesting. And I thought, oh my God, if Jessica Williams was my English teacher in high school, I would have been so obsessed with her. I would have been like her shadow.
You're hilarious.
I just was so in awe of her. And then the girls naturally fell in love with her, and Beanie and Caitlin would just kind of follow Jessica around like little puppies.
Well, that's my time, Mama. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I had the best time talking to Miss Olivia Wilde. She was so down to earth. She was so cool. And as one of her actors in the movie, Caitlin Dever, said about her, she really, truly understands young people. She understands what that is. She has her pulse on the finger of how young people feel, what's resonating with them, what isn't resonating with them, what makes them happy, what's hip, what's not. And this is her directorial debut. Before I get into my review of Booksmart, though, I want to address Jamie Fortenberry, who is in my chat room right now. And Jamie was telling me that she's not feeling so great about herself. She wants longer hair. She wants to be skinnier. Let me tell you something, Jamie. When I was younger, I was a beanpole. I know that's hard to imagine now because I'm very curvy and very full-figured. I know it's a lot going on right now. But when I was younger, that was not the case. I was really skinny. I had no chest. They used to make fun of me, call me chicken legs. I moved around a lot. My father was in the Marine Corps, and I would get teased because every time we would come back to St. Louis, Missouri, which is where I'm originally from, people would make fun of my accent from wherever we would just come from. And this is the message that I have for you. First and foremost, let me thank you for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon to spend an hour with me. I really appreciate that. Having said that, don't be so down on yourself. Don't be so down on yourself. You can buy some longer hair, honey. You can buy some longer hair. You can always get skinny through a diet or through working out, but what I would not suggest is doing it by an unhealthy means. What I suggest doing is doing it by a healthy means. But right now, just embrace who your beautiful, lovely self is in this moment in time. Embrace who you are because you are unique, you are different, and you are special. And I want you to remember that, and I want you to hear me when I say that, okay? I really want you to hear me. Don't feel sad about it. Being unique and different is a beautiful thing. It's taken me my whole life to embrace exactly who I am on this microphone talking to you right now. And trust and believe, I'm so happy, and you will be too. All right. That's my soapbox moment for the day. And you're welcome, Jamie. All right, moving on to Booksmart. So Booksmart, as I said earlier, is produced by Annapurna. Oh, I didn't say this earlier. I said about Olivia. Olivia Wilde is the director. This is her first time directing. Her directorial debut. It's produced by Annapurna Pictures and is starring Beanie Feldstein, Caitlin Dever, and Beanie plays Molly. Caitlin plays Amy. And before I continue, though, there are a plethora of interviews. All the interviews I did on the red carpet, all of the one-on-one interviews I did, you can find in the Curvy Film Critic with Carla Renata playlist at Black Hollywood Live. I did not air them during the show because they're all cut up different increments, and it would take way too much time. And besides, you'd have much more fun. They're like a minute and a half each, and it'll be a lot of fun to just click on them and listen to them and, make some comments about them. But having said all of that, let me get back to my interviews and my reviews. So Booksmart is this movie about these two young girls who are straight A students. They have done everything that they possibly can do to make straight A's, keep it moving, and not get into any trouble. They didn't party, they weren't reckless, they weren't irresponsible, and now graduation is upon them. And they realize that they have had their kind of fun, their straight A, studious student kind of fun, but they haven't had any real fun. And they decide to throw caution to the wind and get into some real trouble. Well, then the shenanigans ensue. It is hilarious. And some of my favorite scenes. Before I say that, I'm so excited about the film. I just can't say enough about it. But it's kind of like if you guys are fans of that movie Superbad, which ironically enough stars Beanie's brother Jonah Hill, then you're gonna really love Booksmart. It's like the female companion to Superbad. And one of the things that really made me laugh is there's this one. So there's gonna be a few spoilers in here. I won't do too many, but a few. So there's this car scene at the end of the movie where the girls have one of the girls has gotten into some serious trouble, and they come riding up in there, honey, like Thelma and Louise, the millennial session. It was hilarious, and I loved every single second of it. I was there for all of it. We got a May-December romance that brewed off at the party between Mrs. Spine, who's played by Jessica Williams, and one of the other little students. It's just pure comedy. There's a bathroom scene that's pure comedy. There's another scene where the girls have infused some I don't want to say drug-laden strawberries, and they trip out and they look in the mirror, and for whatever reason they think they are dolls. Baby, when I tell you that right there was the best part of that movie for me. It was hysterical. And Beanie and Caitlin are the perfect pair to complement this film. And any scene with Billie Lourd playing Gigi is just phenomenal. She's so good. Her timing is absolutely perfect. And when I interviewed Billie on the red carpet, I could not help but be reminded of her mom. She sounds exactly like her mom when she speaks. If you don't know who her mom is, her mother is Carrie Fisher, or was Carrie Fisher, but she has embodied. She has the best of Carrie Fisher with her, and it's going to make for a wonderful career. I can't wait to see what Billie ends up doing next. And everybody's in the chat room going, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I mean, it's my pleasure to reach out to someone that's feeling kind of down in the dumps. I know what that's like. I suffer from depression, so I feel you. I get it. And yes, Booksmart is in limited release right now. It opened on the 17th, May 17th. It's in limited release, but it goes into nationwide release on the 24th, which is why I'm telling you about it now, so that you can get your tickets early, because I'm telling you, that film is going to be the film of the summer that you really want to catch. All right, so the next film that we're going to talk about on my little list today is The Souvenir. The Souvenir. Wow. So this film resonated with me for a variety of reasons. It's produced by A24, one of my favorite studios. It was released on May 17th. All the films I'm talking about today actually were all released on May 17th. So I had a lot of homework to do this week, y'all. It was a busy week. It's directed by Joanna Hogg, and it stars Honor Swinton Byrne, who plays Julie, Tilda Swinton, who plays Julie's mom, and Tom Burke, who plays Anthony. Now, the really funny thing about this film, but not ha funny, but coincidental funny, is the fact that Tilda Swinton and Honor are mom and daughter in real life. And this is Honor's first big film. And when I tell you, this young lady, you want to remember her name, Honor Swinton Byrne, because she is the next big thing. She plays, it's kind of like it's semi-autobiographical, and it's about this young woman, Julie, who's an aspiring filmmaker. She's got these really cool, unique ideas about how she wants to make films, and then she meets this older man and ends up in this really toxic relationship with him. And when I say toxic, I mean it is just not a good situation for her at all. He makes her feel bad about herself. He has her apologize. she inadvertently apologizes to him for stuff that he's doing to her. He's taking her for her money. He's on heroin. He's shooting up, but he's charismatic. And apparently he's really good in bed. So there's that. So Miss Girl is blinded by the light. She can't she can't see beyond what he's doing to her physically or emotionally. And I think there's a part of her that just would rather be with anybody than be by herself. I wholeheartedly related to this film because I was actually in a relationship very similar to that. The person I was dating wasn't a heroin addict. I'm not saying that. But it was a very toxic relationship because I was in a situation where I would have rather been in a relationship with this person than be by myself. And I learned that I had to become comfortable with my own company. Just like I was talking earlier about becoming comfortable in my own body, I had to become comfortable being alone and what that meant, and being comfortable with my own company, and realizing that that's not such a bad thing, because you know what, I deserve to be treated like a queen. I deserve somebody that's going to respect me. I deserve somebody that's not going to talk down to me, or that's going to use me, or that's going to do anything in a negative lane to me as a person, as a human being, and as a woman on this earth. So I got out of that relationship, and so does Julie. The Souvenir is beautifully, beautifully, beautifully shot. It's shot like watching, you know how you flip through a photo album and you go through the memories in your mind as you're looking through the photographs? That is how the Souvenir is shot. Joanna Hogg does a wonderful job with that. It's shot like the memories in your mind, like watching a photograph go by in your mind cinematically. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really hoping that as time moves on, that we get to see more and more of this film have a lot more conversation as the award season is upon us, because right now they're doing the Cannes Film Festival. They're like right in the middle of that. So I would really like to see this film be a part of that conversation. There usually always is some kind of period piece that's part of the conversation, and this isn't a period piece per se. It does take place in a very specific period of time, but it's not like a period piece in the way of, like, you know, a Jane Austen novel or something like that. But I really enjoyed that film, and I highly suggest that you guys check it out. It's really good. Next up on the list is a little film that I saw that stars a young lady that all of you know. Her name is Yara Shahidi. She's on Blackish, which is on ABC. It's a sitcom. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It stars her and Charles Melton, who's a big YouTube star. A lot of people are familiar with him. And it is produced by Warner Brothers and based on a hit book by Nicola Yoon. Now, I don't know about y'all. If you hadn't read this book before, you need to read it. It's a really, really good book. It's a New York Times bestseller. This is Nicola's second book, and both of her books have been New York Times bestsellers. That's not a bad way to start off as an author. I'm just saying, it's kind of great. But people assume, like I did, that because her last name is Yoon, that she probably was Korean. And to my surprise, to my pleasant surprise and amazement, this is a sister. She's from Jamaica, and she's married to someone who is Korean. And it is loosely based on her real life, not autobiographical, but it is loosely based on her relationship with her husband. And basically what happens is immigration is at the forefront of this particular story. There's this young lady who is from Jamaica. Her name is Natasha, played by Yara Shahidi, and Natasha's family, we meet her in the film where Natasha's family is about to get deported the very next day. We also meet Charlie Melton's character, Daniel, who is about to go to college, I think to pursue a medical career or be a lawyer. I think pursue a medical career to be a doctor. His parents are Korean immigrants. Her parents are Jamaican immigrants. There is not one white person in this movie. Not a one. Which, no shade, but it was kind of nice to see a film that's dealing with immigration and diversity and not have white folks tramping all through it. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not trying to be that girl, but I'm kind of being that girl. It was not, and this is why I'm being that girl, because most of the time when we see these types of these young stories like The Fault in the Stars and things like that, it's usually from a Caucasian point of view and perspective, and a person of color is usually either the sidekick or a secondary, ancillary character. They're never the leads in a story like this. And here we have two leads of immigrant descent in the film starring in the movie. And Yara Shahidi is, I think her dad is from the Middle East and her mom is African American. I used to see her mom on commercial calls. Her mother is a very successful commercial actress. I think she got about 2 commercials running right now. But I say all of that to say that these two strangers, they meet by fate one day, and Daniel challenges Natasha by saying, I can make you fall in love with me one day, because she's very scientific and she believes that love is just a pure emotional type of feeling. There's no scientific backing to prove that, love is like this big, wonderful thing that everybody says it is. She Nicola Yoon kind of did her thing in telling the story, and I love the way that the story played out. I love the fact that they dealt with it from a realistic immigration point of view. It wasn't a fairy tale point of view talking about immigration. Like, they talked about it from a real point of view. Natasha went down to that immigration office in New York trying to save her family, and they were like, "We're sorry, but it has already escalated to another level. There is nothing that the courts can do." They end up sending her to a pro bono lawyer who is familiar with these types of cases and has probably like a 90 to 93% rate of getting the families to stay in the U.S., but that is not the case with Natasha. And it ends in a really interesting way. It's not a big fairy tale, oh, happily ever after kind of ending, but it was, and just for nothing, I read a lot of people's reviews about this film, and a lot of people didn't like it. It didn't get a very high rating on Rotten Tomatoes for whatever reason. But what's really interesting about that is that every woman I know that saw it really fell in love with the fact that this is the thing. When you meet somebody, you don't know how they came into your realm. You don't know how fate brought you together with them. You really don't. And how it all plays out is very interesting. And this is the thing. There is no forever and tomorrow. You only get one tomorrow each day, each 24 hours at a time. And in addition to the immigration storyline, that is what it addresses. And for those reasons, and the fact that it's a love story, because I'm all about the love stories, I dug it. So there's that. Let me see. Somebody said, I saw Yara and Charles interview promoting the film. Beware the comment section in that video. There's some men saying some bad stuff about Yara. Yeah, there's always gonna be some haters about something. I try not to hate. I try to just keep it real. And Marlon said he saw they made some changes from the book and to downplay the Jamaican family. Yeah, Marlon, I saw the film. I don't think they downplayed the Jamaican family. I don't think they downplayed the Korean family either, because they do address some things. Like, there's something in that film where they address the fact that when she goes to the hair shop that his family owns, his brother and his father are trying to, they think she's there to buy hair products. And his father literally says to her at one point in the film, "Yeah, why don't you use this? It makes your hair not so big." I was like, whoa, did they just do that? Like, it's real. It keeps it really real. And I enjoyed that. I really did. But everything ain't for everybody. But I enjoyed The Son is Also a Star. It is produced by Warner Brothers. It, too, was released on May 17th. The next thing I want to talk about is Trial by Fire. So, the first two films were a little fluffy. I had a little love story action happening in there, but now I'm about to get real serious, because Trial by Fire, which also opened, again, on May 17th, is produced by Roadside Attractions, and it is directed by Edward Zwick. And it stars Jack O'Connell, who is like the king of, I'm going to be in a true story movie where somebody gets the hell beat out of them, because he was in Unbroken, which was the film that was directed by Angelina Jolie, which I also loved. And Laura Dern. Love me some Laura Dern. If y'all watch TV, she's on Big Little Lies. And it is the true story of Cameron Todd Willingham. Now, I remember this story in the news playing out in real time, and I remember that this young man was accused of killing his own children by fire. He had, I think, 3 or 4 kids. He was accused of setting a house intentionally, committing arson and killing all of his children. When in fact, what actually happened was there was a wall space heater where the wires were a little faulty and they sparked, and that's actually what started the fire. When this was brought to the attention of then Texas Governor Rick Perry was planning his run for president of the United States the same year in 2016 when Donald Trump was running for president. So, it was not to his advantage to divulge this information and take somebody off a death row, because that points fault at the justice system and the legal system within the state of Texas. But yet, that is exactly what happened. He suppressed evidence. Several people recanted their stories. There was scientific evidence from an arson expert who said that the fire that the fire happened as a result of the faulty wires in the furnace, and yet and still they still took this man's life by lethal injection. What this film does is it grossly brings to light the problems that we have in the criminal justice system in America, period, but in the capital punishment sector of the American justice system. Because as one character in the film says, if you don't have no capital, then you get punishment. And that's just exactly what happens with poor white people, poor black people, poor anybody that doesn't have the money to pay for adequate legal representation, because his own lawyer threw him under the bus. And this is a true story, y'all. This is a true story. This actually happened to someone. He actually lost his life and then spent all these years in prison having to live with the guilt that he thought he got to the point where he couldn't even tell if he took his children's life or not until the scientific evidence came forward. Thank goodness he knew before he passed away that there was evidence to prove him not guilty, but it didn't happen and they took his life anyway. It's a deep little film. It's a really deep little film, and you might want to, get in a certain mindset before you watch it, because it's going to piss you off and it's going to make you want to write somebody. Having said that, next week I'll be talking about When They See Us, Ava DuVernay's new film, which is going to be streaming on Netflix, and I got a whole bunch to say about that, so we'll talk about that next week. I'm going to hit you guys in the chat room when I get toward the end of the show, because I can't type and write at the same time since it's a solo journey, but I promise I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to hit it and I'm going to talk about everything. I promise you. All right, so that is it for Trial by Fire. Now I just want to talk about a few things that were in the news that I happen to take notice of. So I'm always talking about how on the red carpet, as a host and as a journalist, you are oftentimes, as a person of color in particular, you are oftentimes relegated to the end of the red carpet, or the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad section, like we like to call it. And when you're down there at the end of the red carpet, and when I say the end of the red carpet, I mean like the last 2 or 3 people on the carpet, journalistic wise, that are waiting to see named talent to talk to them, right? That has not been my journey as of late. I have been very fortunate that my relationships with these publicists and with a lot of the studios has really grown, and they have learned to respect me and know that I show up without shenanigans, and I'm not there because I just want to get a selfie or say that I talked to whoever on the red carpet, that I'm actually there to do a job, and that job is to get a sound bite or to have a decent or fun-loving conversation with whoever the stars of the film and creatives of the film are. Having said that, this week, Emerald Marie, who's a reporter for Where's the Buzz TV, was on the red carpet waiting to speak to Halle Berry, her and one other young man. They were the only 2 people of color in the Harriet Tubman section of the red carpet. And there was a member of the PR team that was organizing that premiere. I don't know what PR team it was. I'm not going to call them out even if I did, because that's not nice and that's not professional. But what I will say is there was a member of the PR team that when Halle Berry got to that section of the red carpet, they were like, hey guys, we're so sorry. We got to take her in. So sorry. We can't stop. Halle Berry, as they're pulling her down the carpet to get her into the theater, she turns around and sees this brother and sister at the end of the carpet. And she's like, oh, but no, I can't not talk to my brother and sister. And she turned on her heels and went back. let me just tell you something. That little occurrence right there, that happens more often than not. This is just the first time that people are talking about it, because when Emerald posted her video and had actual video showing, she has actual video showing the publicist saying, what did she say? Showing the publicist saying, I'm sorry, we have to go. In addition to Halle Berry turning on her heels and coming back, you can't deny that when it's video. Like, it's video. You can't deny that that actually happened. And what I will say is, you know, this happens so often, and it's so unfortunate that we are dismissed as whatever we are dismissed as, because it's just, it's very insulting. It's very disrespectful. You know, they will let somebody talk 20 minutes to like an Entertainment Tonight or Access or a major outlet, and they will stand there and ask 50 questions. And then by the time they get to you, they're like, oh, you can only have one question. Or they'll be like, okay, we have to lump you all together and you can ask one question, which Emerald actually suggested to the publicist when she was told, oh, Halle can't stop. Emerald actually said, well, can we pool together and ask one question? And the publicist was like, no. But kudos to Halle Berry. Halle Berry is one of my favorite people for a variety of reasons, but I got mad love for her this week because she did that. Because she could have easily turned around, looked at them two people, and kept it moving, but she did not. Because she knows better than anybody that publicity, there is no bad publicity. Publicity is publicity, and you're there to promote your film, regardless of what outlet it is. I don't know what the shenanigans are or why people are getting so funky and so, all up in their feelings about not wanting to stop to talk to people of color. I had something happen to me this week where I was supposed, from that same movie, there were some conversations going back and forth about having a talent come over here into the studio to talk about the film and, talk to this particular talent. And the PR company working with the talent was on board. They were in my corner. They were trying to help me out. But the studio was kind of like, we don't know. And they were going to wait till the last minute. Why were they going to wait till the last minute? Because they were waiting for somebody else to fall out so they could slip me in at the last minute. Guess what? Slipping me in at the last minute is disrespectful. I don't like it. I'm not going to do it. And, that's all I have to say about that. But kudos to Emerald for shouting it out. Kudos to Emerald for bringing it to light. Kudos to Halle Berry for turning on her heels and giving a brother and sister some play. And that's all I have to say about that. I also wanted to bring up the fact that John Wick is in theaters this week. John Wick 3 Parabellum. It is in theaters this week along with A Dog's Journey. I did not go see A Dog's Journey because I recently lost my dog. So I cannot, for a minute, I just can't go see any. As much as I love to watch movies with talking dogs, I just can't. I can't, because it just brings up too many memories for me and my little Spanky. Which my friend Kim Whitley, you guys probably can't see it, but my friend Kim Whitley was very gracious, and she sent me a silver bracelet with a little paw print with Spanky's name on it, and I was like, that's love. I shout out to Kim Whitley. Yeah. All right. So Dog's Journey, John Wick 3 opens in theaters this week, along with all the other films that I mentioned. Now, a streaming pick that I want to tell you about is a film called The Perfection, which was released yesterday on May 18th. And, y'all, I'm not into horror films, but horror films keep making their way to me here at the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata at Black Hollywood Live. I don't know what the universe is trying to tell me about horror movies, but there you have it. So there's that. But it was released yesterday. And let me just tell you something. If you are scared of bugs, you might not want to watch this movie. It's on Netflix right now. It's called The Perfection. It stars Allison Williams as Charlotte, a musical prodigy who becomes obsessed with Lizzie, who's played by Logan Browning. Y'all might remember her from the TV version of Dear White People. And she's a star cello student at a school. When you watch the trailer opens with Lizzie and Charlotte walking down an abandoned stretch of wilderness. And Lizzie's freaking out, certain that something is wrong with her. And she's right, because just a few seconds later, the skin on her arm starts popping up and, there's bugs beneath the surface. Now, hopefully that visual, if you're a horror fan, will make you want to go. And if you're not a horror fan, you might be like, yeah, deuces, I'm good. But I hear through the grapevine that this is a really well-acted film. Allison Williams, you guys might remember her from Get Out, and she's fastly becoming or what is it, carving out a niche for herself in the horror lane, just as Lupita Nyong'o is doing with her 2 films that came out this year, with these horror films. Because, Allison was in Get Out, and now she's in The Perfection. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That's a lot going on. So let me just check out what people have been saying in the chat room. Jamie, you are so welcome for everything that I said. You said, I'm looking forward to seeing this film for Charlie Riverdale. Yeah, he's great. You're going to love him in that. Let me see. There are white people walking around Grand Central. Yeah, there's white people walking around Grand Central, but what I was saying is, when I said that there's no white people in The Sun Is Also a Star, I mean there are no white characters. There are no white speaking characters in The Sun Is Also a Star. Yeah, there's white people walking around in Grand Central Station because New York City is a melting pot. And that's another thing. I'm glad that the film showed people, walking around New York City that aren't just white. Because usually when you see a Woody Allen film or some other film that's taking place in New York, all you see is white people. And as somebody that lived in New York City for over 20 years, you see every kind of person. It's a melting pot of people that have dreams and all kinds of things. So I just get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. That's just me. Let me see. What else did somebody say? Marlon, you always got jokes. Somebody's like, oh, okay, Marlon. And then Jenna said, I'm happy Hallie did that, but can we get her on a black radio or TV talk show instead of The Breakfast Club? Wendy, yeah, I'm going to do a campaign right here and see if we can get Halle Berry over here. Because, I had an interaction with her not too long ago, which was really interesting. So I think I've shared this here before, but I'll share it again. So I was as many of you know or may not know, I'm an actress. I recur on Superstore on NBC, which has just got picked up for season 5. And I was on my way to an audition at Culver City Studios here in Los Angeles. And I was running late, as I often am. And I saw this girl, and we were both running late together and walking really fast and talking. She had on this fabulous outfit, and I talked to Halle Berry for a good 10 minutes about this outfit and her hair, not realizing that that's who I was talking to until I went up the stairs to go into the building where my appointment was, and I happened to look down while I was waiting for them to open the door, and somebody said, hey, Halle, do you want to ride? I'm like, oh, Lord, really? Did I really just talk to Halle Berry for like 10 minutes and didn't know that that's who I was talking to? And the only reason why I was talking to her is because she looks identical to one of my cousins. I have a cousin that looks exactly like her. Exactly. And for a split second, when I saw her, I was like, what is my cousin doing in LA? I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So imagine the shock I had when I looked over and saw somebody that looked like they were my cousin, and they weren't, but they were actually Halle Berry. So hopefully I will write somebody or do a little campaign and see if I can get her on here. But you know what? Just to give you a little insight, most of the time, when these stars don't come and do shows like this, it's not because they don't want to come do them. It's because there's a middle person in the way that's stopping them, that's blocking them from coming over here. It's not that they don't want to come. They do want to come, and oftentimes they have come. You've seen me have Omar Epps here. You've seen Sean Patrick Thomas here. There's going to be some other people coming throughout the summer, which I can't talk about. Regina King. Like, there have been some people that will do these types of interviews, but in order for that to happen, and I get it from both sides of the coin. I get it from the publicist standpoint and from the studio standpoint and from the management standpoint, that they're just trying to protect their client. Like, I get it. I do get it. But at the same time, do your research before you just say no. Like, check out who the person is. See if they're personable. See if they're intelligent. See if they know what they're talking about when it comes to movies. See if they're just, fanning out, or if they actually are doing the job of film criticism. Like, check it out and find out before you say no, right? And then on our end, we have to make sure that we're as professional as we possibly can be to make sure that nobody can say no. And, I'm that chick that, if you say no to me, that's just giving me another way to find another end, because I don't take no for an answer. That is not my life. I've never lived my life that way, and I certainly don't live my career that way. So there's that. Jamie, I love her so much. Halle Berry, she, you know what? Halle Berry is beautiful inside and out. And I think that you're absolutely right. She is beautiful. And I think she gets a bad rap. I really do. But I'm a fan of Halle Berry. Like, I'm a diehard fan of Halle Berry all the way back to the Jungle Fever days. Did y'all know that that was Halle Berry in Jungle Fever playing that crackhead? If you didn't, if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know. You see that throwback to hip hop I gave you? Yeah, y'all are 12. Y'all don't even remember. But anyway, yeah, I adore her. I love all of her films. She's a wonderful person. She's a wonderful actress. She's a fantabulous producer. I don't think she's written anything yet, but I'm looking forward to her writing something and jumping into that lane as well. So I think I've addressed everybody's concerns. If I have a couple of minutes left, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll take 1 or 2 questions right now. But other than that, I will talk about what I'm going to talk about next week. So again, let me just say that this is episode 60 of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. We were previously Black Tomatoes. So you'll go under the website, under Black Hollywood Live, and you might see some things that say Black Tomatoes. We had to rebrand for legal reasons. So now it's called the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. And yeah, so that's that. Go over to YouTube, you guys. I love the fact that you guys showed up for me on my solo journey and supported me and made me not feel so alone in the studio. I really appreciated that. That was awesome. Awesome. I love you so much for that. Go to iTunes, give me some 5 stars. Go to Spotify, give me some love. We trying to make this bad boy national. We trying to make the Curvy Critic go global, boo. So, hook a sister up and show me some love and retweet and just get it out there. Let folk know that I'm there. So let me see. I think there's one other thing. Oh, somebody said they were excited about Catwoman. Oh yeah, Catwoman is coming out with Ruby Rose. I'm actually looking forward to that. But anyway, that is my time. I wholeheartedly appreciate you. Next week will be episode 61. Like I mentioned earlier, I will be talking about Ava DuVernay's When They See Us, and we will be talking about Aladdin. Did Will Smith do his thing as the genie? You'll have to come in next week and tune in next week to find out. So until then, it's your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic, here at Black Hollywood Live. You can find me across all social media platforms at the Curvy Critic. And right after this, you can find me over at AfterBuzz TV doing the General Hospital After Show. Until next week, I love you so much. Love, peace, and hair grease. Deuces.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
Views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.